Posting on Instagram, everyone sees this happy, they think you're living large, but
Actually, it was pretty rough for me, to be quite honest,
difficult.
because you were living like the superstar life, everything you can imagine.
what was that like? How old were you guys then?
You were underage when
Yeah.
we started touring the States, so we had to drink in the hotel, be like drunk, then go to the show.
One of your highlights of tour life?
When we played Social Club in Paris, which was the resident club from Daft Punk and Justice. And then a few years later, the main stage Mr. Dan Chile. That was like the biggest show I could visualize mentally.
Best decision of your career?
Quit.
Okay. Hello, guys, and welcome to the very first episode of the new Revealed podcast, Legacy Meets Destiny. I am your host, LUSSO. I was born and raised in New York City and started my career as a finance bro before I said, fuck the system. I have since moved to Amsterdam to continue chasing my dream of becoming a DJ, so I am super grateful to be here with you today. Also, a big thank you to the Revealed team and to Hardwell for letting this podcast happen. I am super excited. So recently, my recent release on Revealed was a very special remix of a track called Foot Rocker by the legendary DJ duo Mightyfools. The remix was played at Ultra Main Stage by Hardwell, and to celebrate the release, I have the Mightyfools as the very first guests. So without further ado, please welcome Mightyfools.
What's up?
Welcome, guys.
Retired DJ duo.
Retired DJ duo. How does that feel? And when
It feels weird, actually, to be honest. Seeing all you people grow and we being retired, being daddies and shit.
how long have you been
weird.
retired now?
7 years.
7 years, yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
Feels like a different life.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So how did it feel when you saw a Spotify for Artists email after 8 years, 7 years?
You got a new release coming up. Yeah, that was a strange feeling.
Yeah, for me as well, yeah. I've been doing really different things in life right now, and seeing you made this remix and seeing the Spotify mail, it's absolutely mind-blowing, man.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I remixed one of their iconic main stage anthems, Foot Rocker. And after 12 years, it made it to the Ultra Main Stage again. How was that 12 years later?
It felt very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, like the excitement, before the show that it's coming up. You don't know at what point, you don't know exactly in which format. And then it was the same format as the original with like the mashup Hardwell did. Mm-hmm. And seeing the crowd go wild again, it felt like 12 years ago again.
Yeah. Proud dad moment.
How did it feel for you?
Hey, for me, I mean, that was my first time. Ultra Main Stage was kind of like the stage that made me want to become a DJ. I mean, I went there. It was my first festival I ever went to.
Yeah.
Hardwell was the artist that made me want to become a DJ. So to me, it was a full circle moment.
Nice.
And it was an honor.
Nice, man. I'm really happy for you as well.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. Appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't just about the drop for me. It like really was about the moment. And you mentioned the same mashup, like in 2013. Like watching that 2013 video. To me, that whole set is, like I said, why I became an artist. So it really was full circle.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's great. Special moment.
What? I remember you guys once told me a story in 2013. Where were you when you first saw Foot Rocker?
In a shitty hotel in Miami. In a really, really, really shitty hotel in Miami, because they played like house music till 5 a.m. and we all we wanted to do was sleep.
So you were in the hotel. You were in the hotel while he was playing, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to go to Ultra, and
Nope.
we didn't have the connections yet, so we couldn't get tickets. But we were playing Miami, like the pool parties. Back then, the pool parties were, I think, a bit more popular than they are now.
Uh-huh.
So you do like 2 or 3 pool parties on a day, and you just walk around DJing. So we knew that Robert was going to play the track, so we were in the hotel, in our hotel room, watching the live stream. And then it happened, and
We were screaming, man.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
after that, we went to grab some food at Jerry's Famous Deli, which doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, man.
And and we were there outside, and a car stops, and who's there? Robert steps out of the car. He
Fucking
just
Robert,
finished
man,
his
yeah.
set, and he was hungry.
Totally random.
totally random. We bumped
Yeah.
into each other, and we were like in the middle of the street screaming to each other, "Wow! It went off!
Yeah.
It did so well! Woo!"
Yeah.
High-fiving each other, and then we went to
Nice.
grab some food together, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And now, did you know he was going to play it that year?
Yeah,
Oh, you did?
yeah,
So you
yeah.
knew it was
Like
coming.
the track was made about 8 months before
In 2012,
Ultra in
yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
And we had to keep it quiet for like almost half a year because we wanted to save it for the Ultra
Oh.
set. So we knew about it for a very long time, actually. So it was nice when it finally got released.
What was it? What do you think of when you made the track back then? Like, what comes to mind? Special moment about it?
It was kind of experimental.
Yeah, it was
for
very
us.
experimental. Also for the time, it was very experimental as well.
Yeah.
It was very different compared to other tracks that were like coming out.
The melodic stuff was
Yeah.
really popular, the progressive house.
Yeah.
And this was kind of different. We just made it really open-minded.
Yeah.
And maybe
And-
what were like some of the hits at that time? Like when you guys were signing it, like what were the big records?
Yeah, Tommy Trash and Axwell
Axwell,
and
Tommy
all that
Trash.
kind of
Yeah, so that era.
like leaning a bit towards electro, but mainly progressive house.
Yeah.
So this track sort of didn't fit the mold of any of the genres at that point in time, and it was before Big Room and EDM became Big Room and EDM.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So it was kind of early, and we never really expected much from it because it was for us like just an experiment and an open-minded track as well.
Yeah.
And
But it still had like the Mightyfools energy, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the big peak time energy.
yeah, but we didn't
yeah.
really play it the first
No.
year. Even after Ultra, we didn't play it the entire summer because we weren't sure what type of audience it would fit.
No.
And then after it became very popular, then about a year or so later, we actually started playing our own track as
really?
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but everybody was expecting it as well, right?
They got upset at us
Yeah.
at one point, like, why didn't you play it? And we were like, yeah, sorry, we will do next time. And then we got booked back, and then we had to play.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now was that just because you still were unsure?
Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
not unsure about the track. We knew it was a cool track, but
Right.
where in your set would you
Play,
play
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Because afterwards the sound sort of leaned more towards what Footwalker already was, and it became more logical to play it in a DJ set. But
Right, right, right.
Before there weren't much tracks similar,
No.
so it was kind of a special one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. What so how long did you got were you guys Mightyfools exactly?
We started in 2000.
2017. In 2007.
Yeah,
I met Jelle in a really empty club.
Empty Club.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy. He was my crowd and I was his crowd.
Yeah, nice.
Basically, that was
It's a
was
good
it.
bonding moment.
Yeah, it
totally,
was.
totally, yeah, man. And we reached out to a Dutch social media platform called Hives. I sent him a message like, "Hey, man, your set was super dope." I stayed the entire set because his set was so super dope, and I think you were like halfway my set, and you were like, "Hey, man, the sound you're doing is really dope." I was more like into a groovy jacking kind of sound, and he was more like a techno electro-ish kind of sound, and I really dig this sound. And I was like, "Hey, man, we should hang out in the studio together, or hang out."
Right, right.
So I hopped on my scooter as a 70-year-old.
drove to my parents' house.
Yeah, drove to his parents'
Did a
house.
studio session,
Yeah.
and then in 2008 we came up with the name Mightyfools,
Mightyfools,
and
yeah.
we started playing and touring.
Yeah.
What inspired the name?
No clue.
He came with Fools actually.
Oh, really?
That's what
Yeah.
you always say, but I cannot remember.
No, you were like, "Hey, man, we should do something with Fools because we're fools in real life, you know."
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then we were like, figuring out some.
Well,
names.
basically, there was an act called Stupid Fresh, and we thought that name was really cool,
Oh, yeah,
and we
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
made like a rip-off. We can tell it
Stupid
safely
Fresh.
now, 15 years later.
Damn, dude.
So we sort of stole their name in our own way.
Super. I like that. Yeah, I mean, it works. I think it's like it works.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
in 2008 we did our first shows. In 2009 we did the first Australia tour, first US tour.
Yeah.
In 2010 we were starting to play the main stages in Europe, and
Wow.
it took off after that.
So within 2 years, then you guys met, and then you're on main stages.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was
went
pretty
really
crazy, man.
fast. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
really crazy.
Yeah.
And what was that like? How old were you guys then?
I was young, man. Fuck, I was like 17, 18.
I was
Wow.
20 or 21.
Yeah.
You were underage when
Yeah.
we started touring the States, so we had to drink in the hotel.
Dude, we
I would
had
go
it.
to the liquor store,
Yeah.
grab drinks. We would be like drunk, then go to the show, and then
And he had to hide it.
Dude,
like-
I wasn't
Yeah.
even allowed in.
You
in
had
the
to
fucking
go
clubs,
through the
man.
back door
Yeah,
from the
I had to
club.
go to the back door. It's crazy. Yeah.
So it was a strange time.
Yeah, that's funny. So the 2010 main stage and 8 years of touring as Mightyfools until 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in total we did 10 or 11 years together of touring, of which 8 were like intense touring. Yeah.
And what was the transition like back to I had a normal life and just transitioned into TJ life, so I'm interested in the reverse transition.
Actually, it was pretty rough for me, to be quite honest,
difficult.
because you were living like the superstar life, flights, everything you can imagine, and then suddenly you're back to your own, normal life. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know normal life, but yeah, normal life. It's very quiet, and suddenly you just end up in a certain kind of circle. Everything's peaceful, everything's quiet, and yeah, the first year was really rough for me, man.
Yeah.
I ended up being in a really negative spiral, and I really missed the music industry, but somehow, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, for me as well. It wasn't easy, and I think the main cause, looking back, was because we were pretty young in our 20s, and when you're in your 20s, you shape who you actually are.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
But we were Mightyfools. We weren't seen as separate identities. If I would walk the street, everybody would ask like, "Hey, where's Andy?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
how's
yeah.
Andy doing?"
Yeah.
Or hey, are you flying to some other show? Or hey, what's next? Whatever. It was always about the DJ life. So we weren't really developed as a person. So I think both of us, separate from each other, really fell into this dark place where you had to really find out who you really
Right.
are actually.
Yeah.
Because we didn't learn who we were, because we were just living the superstar life, and
Yeah.
everybody adores you and is interested in everything, but how are you actually doing, So it was rough, but I think it was good for us that we had the time and actually found ourselves.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing it still, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, me neither. No, it's crazy. Yeah, the point is, after 12 years, you start to believe you are Mightyfools Andy and not like Andy,
Right.
So I was like living my own Mightyfools identity for a really long time, and I kind of lost myself. But I'm back here now. Now I'm Andy.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, and I've toured nowhere near as long as you guys or as much, and I gotta say, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's something like friends, family, followers, fans, whoever, they don't understand. They don't see that whole almost identity crisis that you could go through.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's just difficult to understand for somebody who hasn't been in that roller coaster. But you're just functioning on adrenaline for 10 years, screaming crowds, flights, hotels, everybody sort of adoring you and saying yes to you all the time.
Yeah.
And you sort of get lost in that, and you actually start to believe in that at one point, and you forget to take a holiday, you miss the birthdays, you lose touch of your friends and family a bit, and you're just nonstop in that roller coaster. So in 2018 we decided to quit the project. I mean, both of us were struggling with the mental health a bit, but Andy especially just really needed time off and some peaceful time to find himself again. So we put out a statement that we were gonna quit the project due to mental health struggles basically. And the day after, really sad news came up that Avicii did suicide. That was the day after.
It was the day after.
Yeah. So
Holy shit.
so instead of
crazy.
and I really am happy that it changed now, but back then it was seen very differently. So instead of people sending us support from Holland, all the media were coming up to us like, "Hey, do you want to talk about Avicii's depression? Hey, do you want to talk about his suicide?" on all the television programs, instead of considering that we were actually struggling ourselves.
We also were depressed.
So we got all this media requests from all the big television shows here to talk about Avicii's death, and we said no to everything.
Yeah, we
because
declined everything.
we had our own struggles.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And it was super sad, just that back then that was how it was perceived to everybody. But I'm really happy, and that's I mean, it's really such a situation with Avicii, but the one positive thing about it is that it really changed people's view on mental health. So it brought something positive, luckily. So I think by now there's a lot more talks about things like mental health, and that the DJing life can be difficult. And it's not only partying, but it also has its downsides. So a lot of things changed for the better, I believe.
And what's it like? Because in some ways, it sounds like it's like a quiet battle you're dealing with. Everyone you're posting, especially today, you're posting on Instagram. Everyone sees this happy. They think you're living large, but it can be dark sometimes.
Yeah, but
of course, but everybody wants to see the happy stuff, right?
Yeah,
that's your product. That's what you're selling. So. I wouldn't recommend all the DJs now posting how bad they feel.
But they shit every day.
People have their own struggles as well, so it's part of the job that you bring joy and happiness. But at some points it can be tough. But totally. We did a very long and intense run, and it went super well until the last few years. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah. So overall, it's been a super positive experience.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
And I guess talk to us what you're doing now in your.
I started an IT company like 7 years ago after Mightyfools, because I always was a huge nerd. Besides,
you have to be a nerd to be a producer.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. I started like tinkering with FL Studio when I was like 14 to 15 years old.
Nice.
And I was really interested in how the music was made. So basically, I was just twisting all the knobs and shit, like a true nerd. And that's how I started. But fast forward to now, I built an IT company which specialized in custom gaming computers, but also in like studio computers to help DJs and producers to get the best out of their machine and also out of their music production. And I worked at a music label for 2 or 3 years.
So music's in the DNA of everything you've done.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you're supplying all the big DJs with computers. To this day.
Yeah, and really all the music labels as well. So I'm really grateful and really blessed, and I'm really happy to do it as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
you, I know what you do. But
Well, things can happen, and I turned out to become the A&R at Revealed.
Another full circle moment.
Crazy. So here I am at the
yeah.
label that we signed Foot Rocker, and that's why it was pretty easy to get the band back together for this podcast.
Nice.
Because I work here as well.
Nice. So what's it like, I guess for the fans of Revealed, what's it like working for Hardwell now, years later?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we've met Hardwell when we were playing like the smallest bars around for a couple of €100, and we would drink beer together and just have fun. And so we started before all the fame and all the crazy stuff happened.
Right. And what year was this about?
Yeah, 2009 or something.
Yeah, 2009, and we had a really great day at Greenfields, UK, 2012.
Oh, yeah.
What a year.
Great weekend.
Yeah, I don't remember anything, but Robert keeps telling me about it. That was pretty messy.
Free alcohol.
Yeah. So, and I mean, we've always bumped into him, and it was always super fun. And like, you don't see each other every week, but we always felt a sort of a friendship and a similar mindset. So it made a lot of sense that we also released on his label at one point, and we went on tour to a couple of shows with him, and it was always fun. And we stopped Mightyfools. I worked at Helldeep for a while for Oliver Heldens as product manager and A&R. A couple of my friends worked there, and they asked me if to join the company. And then Revealed reached out, and I said yes. And it's now, I'm working with an old friend again, and it's
nice.
It feels like time stood still in some way. Like, I mean, I haven't spoken to him. Also, he did his hiatus and stepped out of the industry for a while, so we didn't speak for a couple of years. And now we're speaking on a daily basis again, but it feels like there's no space in between. We just continued where we left, and we believe in each other's vision, and that's super cool to work on a label like that and build the brand even more. I mean, it's a legendary brand, but it's cool to be a part of it and push it even further. So that's really nice.
That's awesome.
That's really dope to hear, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy.
Yeah,
how
you
things-
I
seem,
can see you being
you
happy.
see,
That's
he
nice,
seems,
man. That's
he's like
nice.
happy talking
Of
about it.
course.
You can
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
yeah.
It's nice to.
It's very passionate, right?
yeah, but it's there's
Don't
a
send him your demos, by the way.
there's just a long personal history. So it's more than just working at a company. You're
Right,
building at something that you actually believe in and been a part of. So it's also
Yeah.
a part of my history, a part
Yeah.
of his history. So it's cool.
Yeah, and I guess in some ways you like, I mean, we use the Legacy meets Destiny for a reason. Your name was part of the Legacy era, and now you're help shaping the Destiny era, so to say.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Yeah, it's strange because the DJ career feels like a different life. I think it's so long ago already, and our lives are so different now that it feels like a whole part of almost not a separate chapter but a separate book.
Right.
At least it does for me. So this feels like a whole different way of approaching things, and I don't think about my own history when I'm working on new demos or new artists.
I mean, we've already written the history, and it's really dope to see a new generation coming up, making all this awesome shit, and remixing an old classic
12 years later.
12 years later and still goes off. Yeah, man. I mean, it's It's
Hey,
an honor,
listen,
man.
like I said, as I was a fan during that era, so like for me to be able to remix some of the music that made me be in this chair right now it's an honor and inspiring.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
what was one of your highlights of tour life? Best memory?
Oh, we've had so many great memories. Very crazy memories as well. But the most dopest memory, for me personally, because we all share our own different views about it, is when I brought my own family to a show in Indonesia. I haven't seen them for like 10 years, like back then. But for me, it was an accomplishment to play in my own country where I was born, but also bring my own family, because they saw me like when I was like 14 years old. And then fast forward like 12 years later, when I was a 26-year-old, like touring the whole world, but also bringing my own family to the stage. Yeah, man, that brought me some crazy tears, and also
nice.
a very heartwarming moment.
Where in Indonesia?
In Jakarta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they traveled like eight hours just to
it's
see
a far
me.
trip.
Yeah, man. And second time we played in Indonesia, we played in this VIP club, and they all live in like a really small village. So for them, they were like hustling with all the bottles in like the VIP section and stuff.
That was hilarious.
They couldn't
Nice.
imagine their eyes, man. They were like, dude, I feel rich right now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That was
crazy.
really special. I
It's a great
remember it
moment.
really good as well.
Yeah, for me, that was a really great moment in our career.
Yeah,
Were
it
you-
was very how you say it? Well, sort of a full circle moment for you, because
yeah, man, totally.
you and your family live in Holland, and you still have family in Indonesia, and then they don't see you for years.
No.
And then you come back as a rock star, and you
Yeah.
can give them the VIP treatment, which was very surreal for them.
Yeah, totally.
I
Yeah.
probably cried as well.
Yeah, man, I was
can
fucking
bet,
so
yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Were your family supportive of the career initially?
They were wearing all the Mightyfools t-shirts.
Yeah.
They were very supportive.
Yeah, they were super supportive. But like back in the days, my parents were really against it, man.
Oh,
Because
really?
because I really have these classic Asian parents.
Yeah.
You have to become a doctor or a lawyer. Pick your destiny, lawyer or doctor, But
Right.
I took I took a different path in life, and
Right,
it was like
right.
a musician, But initially they were really against it, man, because a musician, it's a really tough job, and it's not they were not sure, if I would make a living out of it.
Right.
So they were really scared, and initially they were against it.
What would you say to someone who's like in that seat right now, aspiring artists?
Yeah, this may sound cliche, but really follow your heart
Yeah.
and what you really want to do. I mean, supportive parents is great, but what you really want is even more great. Because if you do something in life that you really don't want to do, then you don't have any passion, and you'll just get unhappy in life. For me, my biggest dream was like becoming a DJ and stuff. So I went for that, and yeah, we had some really great times together, man. Oh man, I would do it all over again. But it's like, if I could like go back in that time, I would do it all over again.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear.
But yeah, man, yeah,
I think if you really feel that it's your passion, at least you have to give it a try.
oh yeah,
If you fail, at least
Yeah.
you tried. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine being full of regrets for the next 60 years in your life
oh yeah,
that you didn't
That's
try it.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's why I quit my job.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, we were all about, we're probably going to fail. It's probably
Right.
not going to work out. So
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah.
really care.
Yeah.
We were already thinking about, hey,
Yeah.
it lasted half a year. It was fun. We're bankrupt now. Let's get
We're
real
bankrupt.
jobs. Yeah, but it was like that for the first 3, 4, 5 years. that
yeah,
we were
yeah,
basically
yeah.
rich for 1 month, bankrupt for the next month, couldn't make a living, eating the worst food, cheapest food possible. It was just investing time and time and time. And
Yeah.
after a while, sort of slowly money started coming in,
Right.
and we were actually a bit more sure, like, hey, this actually might have a future.
Yeah.
But it took years for that point, and it was just investing time that we were still young, so we had the time. And if it would fail after whatever point, at least we had a good run. And
Yeah.
luckily things went well really fast. But
Yeah.
like if it would stop after a year, yeah, then we had some good memories.
Oh,
And
totally. Yeah, yeah.
would be all right.
Yeah.
And what kept you motivated?
I like building our company back then.
Yeah, just
And
that
building up a name.
opportunities start to come more and more, and
Yeah.
we had enough motivation and energy to take these
Yeah.
opportunities and to grow it. And it went really slow. Like every year, it got a bit bigger,
Yeah.
and we got more profile. The shows became bigger, so there was never really a point that we were standing still. It was always slowly,
Right.
not too fast. We didn't run from 0 to 100, always really slowly. So every year was another step up, and that was a really big motivation.
Yeah. What also helped was like we were setting goals like back then,
Yeah,
and somehow
Achievable
we
goals.
achieved all the goals.
yeah.
Every time, like.
But
fuck,
they
what-
were realistic goals.
Yeah, they were realistic.
Okay,
but
we
every
achieved
time,
this, so now we
yes.
can aim for that. And
Yes, but every time the goal got bigger, you know,
Yeah.
like man, we have to do main stage, blah blah blah. Then we're like main stage done, then and then okay, fuck, we have to do main stage that,
Yeah.
and then fuck it, we got main stage that, you know.
Never
it was
happy.
so crazy.
It's
Yeah,
one thing
yeah.
after another. At least you knew when to hang it up, I guess.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
What's one thing that you think is harder now for artists versus when you guys were chasing those goals, essentially?
Everything.
Yeah, I think there's so much music coming out right now, I think, and there's so much information on music available nowadays that like everybody can make music right now. I've seen some AI generated shit that was like, oh my god, is this really generated by AI, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's for an A&R also really difficult to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, just overall, the quality of music is super high.
It's super high, right? Yeah.
Like back then,
The bar is higher. you're
Yeah,
saying.
we
Yeah.
were getting booked because we were able to produce. We were not
Oh, yeah.
even just, we weren't good producers. We were able to produce,
We
and
were
that was
able
that
to.
was special back then.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah.
before YouTube even existed. There were no tutorials.
No.
You had to find your sample banks through people you knew, and it was all different and not as accessible as it is now. So
No.
the competition now is just a lot bigger and more fierce. And for us, we were just in this whole slipstream of more knowledge coming in, the samples getting better,
Right.
plugins starting to become developed. So everybody was growing. And if you listen to the first releases of your favorite artists now, they all sound pretty mediocre, but you hear them getting better every release.
Yeah.
But now that level is already on top, so how can you improve from that? So it really it's more about having good ideas now than it is about the production.
Yeah.
And you have to find a way to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And back then you were already standing out because you were producing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's less people doing it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people like miss. They're always like, "Oh, it was easier then. I got to do this in social media." But the reality is, there is more people you have to be better than right now. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Back then, it was more difficult to become a producer. That was just super difficult to learn all the skills, to find the good sounds, to be on a level that you could be worthy of releasing the music, you know.
Right.
That was just a very long and difficult trajectory to reach.
Yeah.
So that's a lot easier now. So everybody can be a producer by now. But then breaking through to the next level and getting an audience, that's more difficult
Much
now.
harder,
Yeah.
Which then that point segues me into what I'm thinking of next is you say the music industry, but a lot of times it seems like it's about numbers or followers or clout or virality. I guess it seems like it's a part of the game now. What's your perspective on that versus, I guess, 10 years ago even?
I think like 10 years ago, it was more about music than about the numbers. Sometimes I see DJs, they have like 2 releases, but they have like 1 million followers on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So my conclusion is, I guess numbers really count nowadays. Like back then, music was more important.
Right.
So yeah, I think that really matters right now, man. Like having a really great social.
So you think social media is helping the art evolve or kind of an obstacle?
It's kind of an obstacle, to be quite honest, because some people really focus on great social media content instead of their music. They want to be popular on social media, but forget that like the music is really important for their profile, which is really concerning, to be quite honest. But it kind of makes sense because we're living in 2025 right now, and it's not 2013 anymore.
No, of course.
We're farts, man.
We're old.
Yeah, we're old farts. Fuck.
No, but back then also numbers mattered, but just in a different way.
In a different way, yeah.
I mean, if we had 10,000 views on our MySpace, that was a big achievement.
MySpace, oh my god.
And we also used social media for getting our name out there, that was also how people recognized us. It was also back then social media, just a different game and not as intense.
Yeah, true.
As it is now. We weren't considering the word content creation. That wasn't even invented yet. We were just putting up a few pictures from the show and putting some sound clips and
that was
it.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Recorded with a potato, man.
With the potato.
Yeah. We didn't have like 4K cams back then, man. No.
Yeah. So do you believe it's possible to, I guess, go viral or please that 2025 while also maintaining the, I guess, integrity and soul of the music?
I wouldn't know. I think we're too irrelevant for that by now.
Yeah.
We've been out of the game for 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to now compare our strategy back then.
Yeah.
I mean, the essential part of the strategy is still the same, but I wouldn't know exactly how to break through with an act now. Like I know, like the basics,
the general
guidelines, and I know what works and what doesn't. But like the details. No, I guess that's a young man's game by now.
Well, so let's reverse the question. How would you approach it right now?
I think there's a lot of like fake out there, whether it's fake numbers or people trying to make something look like it's something it's not, or now AI.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe authenticity is like really what's gonna make people cut through. I see both sides of like the art versus the business of, the numbers and the music. Yeah. And I believe there is a middle ground. And I think some people get lost in both directions and ignore the other side. But it's like hard to get caught in that trap of who to listen to and everything. So yeah, I believe authenticity and honestly good music. Because if you have a hit, I believe there's a way to market it today, especially if you get the right team. And I think my biggest thing, like, I feel like I got lost in the numbers game as an artist, like, big time. Like, this didn't go viral, or this didn't get 1,000 views in an hour, but the other one did, And that's, like, a really easy trap to get lost in.
The big trap.
That's dangerous, man. Yeah, comparing yourself to other shit.
Oh, my God.
But that's the only sort of feedback you get in short term.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think about the long-term plans and the long-term goals, the first feedback you get from what you see as your audience, but it really isn't because it's just numbers. But that's the only thing you can sort of pinpoint your success from in the early stages.
Yeah.
While if you last a bit longer,
better or worse.
Yeah, if you last a bit longer, you know that the numbers don't mean as much. And I mean, even in our days, sometimes our post didn't perform, but we would get the biggest shows confirmed in the same week, you know. So it really didn't mean much.
I feel like also a lot of people get lost in like just numbers in general, and I think over time being in the industry, you learn that like certain numbers matter more than others, or even for your brand, like my Beatport numbers might be more relevant for me than another artist's Spotify numbers, just because of the type of music we do or whatever. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of happy that we didn't really exist in this era.
You're happy you didn't.
Because I don't think we could manage with our mindset back then.
No.
Things changed too much to compete, you know?
Yeah. And is that like mainly because of socials, you think, and just everything that goes into being an artist now?
Yeah, because both of us don't really ever enjoyed social media, I think.
No, we had to do it as a marketing tool. We use it as a marketing tool, of course.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you really have to have a great social media strategy, or else people will shit over you. You know?
Yeah, we were just doing really good performances.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that sold us.
Yeah.
That's why we were getting booked nonstop, because we were doing good shows everywhere, having good connections with the promoters, being sure that everybody was happy after the show, and just making sure that that side of the business was just the best it could be. And that was why the same organization would book us 7 times in 1 year, because they knew we would deliver and were like a safe bet.
Right.
And then we always had good content because we were playing good shows. So it was sort of like opposite. We didn't have to create content. The content was there.
Yeah.
But as soon as we had 1 or 2 months with less shows and we had to start creating content, that was terrible.
Oh, yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Fuck that, man. Yeah. We never filmed ourselves like in the studio doing this.
Maybe do try how I made my track in 30 seconds.
Maybe 2 times. Yeah. But
How I made my track in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As an A&R, I that's just made me think of this. Like, what do you say to the people who feel like, I've heard people, I don't have enough followers to get my track signed at Revealed, and what do you say to that type of
good music? That's all you need.
Yeah.
I look at the numbers maybe in the final stage.
Okay.
Just to see who is behind the music, and not really look at the actual numbers, but more if the whole profile makes sense to what I'm hearing. So if it's like mediocre production, but you have like all the numbers and big releases, something is off with this particular release, or the other way around. It sounds amazing, you have 0 followers. What is your history? Have you been producing for somebody else? What's going on? Just out of curiosity to see who I'm working with. But if it's a mediocre track and you have a crazy following, we're not going to sign it.
Followers don't matter then.
No, not for Revealed.
For the music,
No.
I do feel
music
like
goes first. For other labels, it might be different, but every A&R, every label is different. They have a different business way of doing things. But for us, numbers is like at the bottom of what matters.
I do feel like Revealed has always stood for like impact over hype in a good way.
Yeah, I feel so too.
And I guess how do you kind of maintain that ideology in a world that rewards, I guess, who is the loudest?
Well, we have Hardwell, who's basically keeping us in line and in check as well, because he's at such a high level, he doesn't need to lean on hypes anymore.
Right.
So he's sort of like his own man, and he can do what he wants, and it also translates in the label, and it gives us as A&Rs quite a luxurious position that we can decide not to look at numbers, because we have the luxury of not having to do that and taking risks, and not every track has to perform if it pushes the label further in a sound way or like in a sonic way, and the numbers don't really match up. It is what it is.
Right.
So that's actually, from an A&R point of view, a really nice position to be in.
Yeah, so like we said, music, and that was what I said, I believe good music you still needed.
Yeah.
You see a lot of those, like you mentioned the TikTok guys with 2 tracks, and I'm not like, I don't name, but there tends to be a correlation with like bad music and TikTok people. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
all the fucking time.
Yeah. All the
time.
But more for business reasons, right?
Yeah, let's keep up.
Business reasons.
No, no.
Looking at all the memes.
Some shit is funny though. Like,
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I deleted TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, it took too much of my time away.
Yeah, it's very,
Doom
very
scroll.
addicting. Because
Yeah, I
yeah.
couldn't handle that.
yeah, I can imagine, man. It really tickles your addiction with like the algorithm.
Yeah.
oh, big time.
You see stuff that you really want to see, and then they concentrate on that stuff. You know, yeah.
It's dangerous place to be.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine. But from a business, TikTok is really important. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the number one way to market. Especially you see like, I mean, I come from New York and you like every weekend there's another restaurant viral and there's a line out the door all
it's
from
crazy.
TikTok. So
Isn't it like banned in the US right now, or?
to be honest, I don't know what the latest is. It's definitely not banned because like I still have access to it. I'm technically
okay.
a US account, but it was banned for like a couple days.
Oh,
I'll never
that's crazy.
forget opening up and it was like
Fuck,
it's now
yeah.
been banned. I was like, oh wow, this happens.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Where do you think? I guess we talked about hype. Where do you guys see, especially from your perspective, out of as an A&R in the industry, but formerly in the industry, where do you see hype going next in 25?
Curious what you're gonna say, because you have a bit more distance, so your view is fresher, I think.
Well, I see a lot of speed garage like bumping up into the scene right now, and UK garage as well, which I really think is really dope because I really love UK garage and everything that has like jack in, and which is really funky, and I think that's gonna be the next big thing, and that's where all the hype is coming from. And I see these TikTok videos and these Instagram videos like blowing up, like Sammy Fergie,
Yeah, I was just
with like
thinking
a
of
million of people going absolutely ape shit. Which compared, if you would like drop it 3 or 5 years ago, nobody would actually give a fuck
No.
about it, you know. But nowadays it's like, wow, this is so dope, this is so new.
It is cool stuff.
And I was like, yeah, dude, this is like 20 years old, this music. But still, it's coming back, you know. And for me personally, I think that's going to be the next big thing.
Do you still listen to dance music like a lot? Is that-
Totally, all the time, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who are you listening to lately?
A lot of Sammy Fergie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Lots of drum and bass.
Oh wow.
I love drum and bass. Actually, a lot of techno as well.
Nice.
But like, but more like the drum code techno, Adam Beyer kind of stuff. And a lot of hip hop, man. Like old school G-funk hip hop.
Nice.
You
Like-
know
like
what
the
kind
old
of
days.
music? What?
Like
Like
the
the
old
old
days.
days. I still have like the old playlist. I listen to the playlist from like 10 years ago, which I
Oh,
used
wow.
to listen to from Mightyfools. I still listen to the playlist
Nice.
every single day.
Specific Mightyfools music only?
No, not really. Like
Like your
Just tracks with memories
yeah, tracks to memories. Yeah,
that
yeah.
we used to play in the hotels and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
So no dance music. It was all
No.
hip hop stuff in the
All
hotel.
hip hop. Yeah, man. Yeah.
What do you think about the scene?
Yeah, it time-wise it makes a lot of sense because what was played 20 years ago, the kids who are 18 now, they go raving, they go clubbing. That's all new sounds for them
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't born yet back then.
Yeah.
So you really see the cycle repeating again. So all the sounds from 20 years ago, the speed garage, the hard house, early hard style, it's all making a comeback.
Right,
and
right.
that's really cool. And
Yeah.
having all these influences combined with the new styles who are popular and the new way of producing, it makes new music again. Because the tracks that made 20 years ago, sonically they don't sound like the music sounds
No,
now. They
it's
don't
so
have the
different.
impact. It's really basic production skills and different way of making music. So
Yeah.
combining the new with the old, yeah, Legacy Destiny, it's perfect.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of music has been, the word I use is formulaic, like a lot. And you see that, like people just want to follow what works, and sometimes a year later too. And I think it's my biggest thing that I think people overlook is trying to just be unique. And I fell into the trap too. Like when I was a bedroom producer, I wanted to sound like this, or I wanted to sound like Hardwell, and it's easy. But I think there's a lost emphasis on like trying to stand out and be different. And it makes me think of what you mentioned about Foot Rocker, how it wasn't like what stood out at the time, but it ultimately was the record that cut through.
Yeah, because it still feels timeless, I think, because it wasn't made out of a formula or a hype.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was made out of pure energy, basically. And that's why I think it still works. And Also, your remix, I'm really happy about it, that it keeps that same energy intact. And it feels like a bonus version almost towards the original, just taking it to the current sounds of how it should be and how to keep the energy high, but it has the same essence and it's still as pure as the original was for us. And we didn't play it the first year, but we played it a ton of times all the years after, because it would still fit our DJ sets all the years beyond 2013. So it's cool. And if you have something timeless like that, and then suddenly nowadays people consider it some sort of a classic, but back then it wasn't really even noticed by most, because all the tracks that are now considered classics were made in those 2 or 3 years.
It was a big year.
It was a big year, Like all the EDM classic, big room classics, they all come from those couple of years. So every year a classic came out, basically. So it's very cool to still be considered part of that bit of history. That is
golden
nice.
era.
Yeah, golden era, what they say now. But back then we were just doing...
We were doing our stuff, man.
We were just doing everything.
It's crazy that it's called golden era right now. But
Not thinking about, bro, in 10 years they're going to call this the golden
era. And you'll be part of it.
Do you think they'll ever say that about like another era of dance music? Like,
of course, they always will. 10
Yeah.
years later, it's like the golden techno era. Like
the golden techno era.
Yeah, 100%.
Of course, yeah.
The golden 152 BPM era.
People who are 50 now, they call the 90s the golden era,
Right,
and
right,
everybody has their golden
Generational.
era. It's also generational. Yeah.
So I say this as an artist who often struggled with the voice of, you got to do this for the numbers, or you got to do this because Maddox did it. And, you know, that voice in your head gets very loud, and sometimes louder than the voice that wants to be unique and stand out. And I think your guys' story of Foot Rocker inspires me as an artist. So I guess, what do you say to those artists who are suffering from that loud voice?
Just do your thing, bromies.
Honestly, good advice.
Yeah, all the artists are suffering with this.
Yeah.
All of them, everybody,
Yeah.
even the ones at the top. So
Of course.
that's the whole battle, is to keep pushing that voice away,
Yeah.
and then rather have no releases for 3 months and then have something unique again.
Right.
If you want to think in the long term, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, but also stop comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
Just stop it, man. Just follow your own path.
It's so
And
hard.
Sometimes it's really hard to put your phone down and just concentrate on making music, you know, because it's really easy right now to open up social media and see everybody doing these successful shit and like making these fire bangers and stuff. Sometimes you just have to throw your phone away just for a day and just like concentrate on yourself and follow your own path, and
I think that was
do it, man.
Also what made us last for so long, because in our time, Afrojack got big, Martin Garrix got big, all of them were on the same labels, and they were like rocket launching beyond us, and for a few years we were thinking, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
But then we started to think, hey, we're doing something right, because we're also still here, still relevant.
True.
And that gave us really the creative freedom to release whatever we felt like, instead of looking at others.
Yeah.
So I think that's ultimately your strength, if you can just focus on yourself, focus on the long term, don't look at the others so much.
Yeah,
There's always going to be somebody better than you, always.
Of course, yeah, man.
And as soon as you are at peace with that, then you're like...
Then the fire comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of, we talked a lot about social media. I think that's one of the hidden, like, thorns in the side of the social media, if you will, is the comparison game is going on, seeing, I mean, for me, I'm coming off a slow few months of touring, and I would, in February, when I was home, wishing I was in Asia or Europe touring, I'm looking at, oh, he got this and he's doing this, and it's easy to then make up stories in your head of, oh, I suck, or I fucked up this, or whatever, and it's a tough battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as you open your phone, there's always somebody doing something bigger or more successful than you.
Oh my
so
god, yeah.
Should not care about it.
No.
I'm gonna ask you guys a couple quick fire questions.
Of course.
One track you wish you made.
Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas is...
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, man, I wouldn't mind all the royalties and all the mechanical
Fair
rights.
play.
It's a good song.
And it's a good song as well, yeah.
And you?
Yeah, same one.
Same one.
Yeah, I strongly agree.
Not for the reasons I was expecting, but okay.
For monetary reasons.
Yeah.
One artist you never got to collaborate with.
Hardwell.
Yeah, yeah. of
I was
course,
thinking
yeah.
that. I was thinking
Yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah.
we've been talking about it so many times back then, but it never happened
No.
Yeah.
in the end.
It never happened.
Best
It is what it is.
Best decision of your career?
To quit?
Okay.
Oh, shit.
No, to just go for it.
Yeah,
When
go
we
for it,
threw
yeah.
ourselves in the deep, went for it.
Yeah. And we created our own style and stuff.
Yeah.
man, And we created our own branding, our own vibe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we stopped giving a fuck about others and just...
We made our
follow
own
thing.
niche and
Yeah,
went for
man.
it. That was the
Yeah.
best decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was best, sure.
And is there one moment that made everything worth it?
Yeah, for me, it was the Indonesian moment.
Oh, what you said.
What
wait a
I
minute.
was singing for.
Nice.
But also that we... I always wanted to be like a DJ, you know. That was my biggest dream. And when I achieved that, I was like, yeah, man, this is so worth it, you know. But also seeing my parents being really proud. And
Yeah.
seeing that, you know, yeah.
There's still, no matter who you meet, like the parent, those are like the number one in your world. you
Yeah,
know?
man, for me, it was
yeah.
it was number one.
I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, there was like a moment of this every year.
Right.
A specific show or specific thing that I visualized and it happened. And that's just crazy. In the first few years when we played Social Club in Paris, which was the resident club from Daft Punk and Justice, and we sold out the venue, and we were like, wow, this is actually happening. And then a few years later, the main stage Mysteryland Chile, that was like the biggest show I could
yeah.
visualize mentally.
Yeah.
For years. I was in my bedroom thinking about a show this size, and then it actually happened, and everybody was screaming, and I still get goosebumps just
Yeah.
thinking about it. And I have moments like this for every single year. That's why we kept going for so long, because we kept building memories of memories, and it was just cool.
It
I
must
can
be
still
nice.
remember, man, that show. You were
I was
saying to me,
screaming afterwards.
like, close your eyes for 2 seconds, bro. I was like, okay, and then open it, and we're like, visualize. This is what we worked our asses for, you know.
yeah, I actually did.
And
Whoa.
at that point, I was like, fuck, man, you're so
remember.
fucking right, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I was closing my eyes for a few seconds and then opening them again to see like
It's like take it
it's
in.
actually
yeah.
happening.
man, yeah.
And then I told him the same, and he was like screaming as well.
Yeah,
It was
dude,
so good.
Couldn't fucking believe. my eyes
Sometimes you
back
got to
then.
slow down and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
be
man,
in the
yeah.
present. Especially that's the
Yeah.
one thing with the phone. Like you get lost in the moment
Yeah,
sometimes
just
in the wrong
throw
way.
away the
Throw it
phone,
away, man,
enjoy the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Well, your guys' story inspires me. Thanks again for letting me remix Foot Rocker. It was an
Thanks for
honor.
remixing us.
Thank you for coming to Amsterdam.
No worries, man. Good luck
yeah.
on the tour.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Thank you guys. It was great.
Thank you.